Hey YouTube, welcome back to a brand new Animal Crossing New Horizons video. Today we're doing something a little different and taking a look at an awesome New Horizons island designer. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. So thanks to a Reddit user and Animal Crossing superfan who goes by the name eugeneration, a brand new web app called Happy Island Designer is available for those looking to design their islands. Eugeneration was inspired to create this when they saw the terraforming or landscaping feature in the Animal Crossing Direct and developed this super polished web app to help plan out our islands. It seems pretty popular right now to draw up islands, and this tool definitely makes things easier. So if you guys want to try it yourself, I'll leave the links in the description. Anyway, today's going to be a less formal video and much more relaxed as we dive into this awesome island designer and see if I can actually make a cool looking map. So as you can see, this is kind of the template of the island, and on the left hand side we have pretty much a menu for the design tools that we can use. We have the top cliffs, the middle cliffs, the grass on the ground, and then we have rocks, beach and the sand, and then we have the water. And then we also have things like paths and buildings and just logos for features that we'll see around the island. And then of course here we have some of the main buildings that we'll upgrade to later on in the game. We've got some bridges and stairs and things like that. So we've got pretty much everything we need here to design our island layout, or at least what we vision will be our layout later down the line. I'm not very creative, I'll say that right now, but I want to do a bit of an overview and see what kind of island I could come up with. There's a few things I know I want my island to have, so we'll start with those. I'm a huge fan of the private beach at the top there, so I kind of already know that I want kind of some maze pathways leading up to the private beach that will kind of confuse people and put them off trying to get there. So what we'll do to start with, I think, is kind of draw out some cliffs here so we've got a bit of space to work with. I can already see this is really cool to work with. Actually, it's just pretty much drawing what you want to do. So we'll start with kind of a pathway. I like this kind of area of the map already, so what we'll do, I think, is draw up kind of a long pathway up to here, which will be maybe the main path to the private beach. Oops, I've gone a bit over there. But we can just put the rocks back in. Actually, we'll probably want a break in the rocks anyway, won't we? So we'll kind of just do this. So that'll be pretty cool. So we know that kind of the main path up to our private beach. But obviously I don't want it to be that easy. I want it to confuse people because I want it to be a bit of a maze. I want people to turn down the wrong area and just give up trying to find it. So this is what I want the top area of the map to be. So we're just going to make probably some fake paths or something. Just for the lols. So they kind of give up getting there. Kind of looks like a bit of an ant hill or something. So we'll get that there. Maybe some random paths here. Man, my island is going to look terrible. I'm just not creative at all. Anyway, so what I'll probably do actually is get rid of the cliffs as well. And just have it as the main cliffs. So this is really, it works so well actually. Get rid of those. Oops. I should have probably got rid of all this to start with. There we go. And then I'll quickly just put these paths back in because obviously I shouldn't have erased those. There we go. Something like that. I just kind of want, maybe it'll be better in time, but I kind of wanted some sort of maze or something leading not directly to the private beach, but a direct path there, which would confuse people so they'd give up and not be able to necessarily get there. So that's kind of cool. But I do think actually we kind of need some sort of cliff here. So we'll put a big cliff down the side, I think, which is pretty cool. So that's one feature that I know I want in my game. Hopefully when it comes to it, my maze will look a little better than this, to be honest, because it sucks. I'm not very good at drawing, clearly. So there we go. So we've got kind of a cliff up there with the maze down below. Only one entrance, one exit. You could probably get lost in there. Of course, you can't really get lost on the New Horizons Island because you can call Mr. Rossetti and he will take you anywhere you want. But hopefully some people want to come to my island and check out a little maze or whatever. So I know I want a maze there. The next thing I want is definitely like an orchid or a fruit orchid where I can plant all my fruit trees. Trying to think where would be best to do this. I kind of want it in the center maybe, so something around here. I might just quickly get rid of the river and change the direction of that slightly, because I kind of want the fruit to be in the northern part of the island. So we'll just say this is a fruit tree. We'll just put some trees in here. I love kind of symmetry, so all my trees hopefully will be planted pretty symmetrical. Something like that. I want a huge kind of area just for fruit trees. Oh, that's gone out. Let's get rid of that. The good thing about this tool is you can press Control Z, undo, get rid of a mistake you've made there. And then I think for the river, I kind of want a bit of an island as well, actually. So what we'll do is we'll divert the river kind of back down to the sea, down here somewhere. And then maybe put it out to sea like that. So that's really cool. So that's super easy to redesign the river. And we'll have a bit of a mouth there, I guess, where it goes right into the sea, which is pretty cool. I think first and foremost, before we get any further into it, we should probably put our airport on. Oops. So the airport is clearly going to be around here somewhere. We're just going to plonk it here, because I imagine it's going to be around the big rocks. And then something I'm looking forward to is actually putting things on the rocks. So we may as well put our lighthouse here as well. So we put a lighthouse on the rock. That's pretty cool. And we should probably go with, where would I place my tent? I think what we'll do is place my tent. I kind of like my tent away from everything else, but not too far away from things. So I know I'll be using the fruit trees quite a lot. So I want my tent around here somewhere. That way I've got easy access to the fruit. And then obviously we're going to want our shops nearby as well, because we're going to want to farm the fruit as quickly as possible, especially at the start of the game. So I think, is there some shops in here? So we've got Nook's Cranny. So that's going to have to be pretty much near everything. So we'll put Nook's Cranny. We'll put Nook's Cranny sort of somewhere in the middle, actually, somewhere here, and we'll kind of work around that. And while we're here, we're going to put our museum all the way up here, because I want it quite far away from everything. So it's kind of a journey to the museum, because we've got big pockets now in New Horizons, so we can catch everything we want, bugs and fish, and then we can do a massive journey all the way up to the museum. So it's kind of out the way of everything. I think that's pretty cool. We're gonna need some bridges, so we'll use a vertical bridge just literally across to the fruit. That's pretty cool. And then we'll just tidy this river up, because my river's a bit too fat there. So that's kind of cool. So we can go straight over to where all the fruit is and pretty much head over to Nook's Cranny and then back to our tent if we want to. I don't know, this is harder than I thought. I really thought I had a bit of a plan of what my island would be. I'd come onto this web app and make it straight away, but this is really hard. So if you guys are using this, or you are going to try this out later, be sure to tweet me your maps, because I'd be really interested in finding out what other people have made with this, because I'm sure there's some super creative people out there who are going to make some awesome apps. I'm just going to change this a bit, because that is an ugly maze. That's a bit better. Yeah, that's not bad. So I want some kind of little ponds up the top here, maybe. Kind of have a bit of a big one here, can't we? And then maybe, yeah, that'll be alright. Yeah, that'll do for the ponds, I think. We should probably put the other shops on here, actually. So I'm going to put the Able Sisters somewhere. So the Able Sisters, you don't necessarily visit it too much, but especially at the start of the game, all our clothing items will basically appear in the Able Sisters once we get the building, rather than in the shop or Nook's Cranny. So I think it needs to be relatively close by. So I might put it here, which is just the other side of the river, but also where it's in its own kind of area. And I think I'm going to shape the cliffs around that, actually. Kind of encage it in almost, so it's kind of in a little cove. So I think that would be kind of cool. So I do want quite a lot of cliffs and that on my land. On my island. I don't want it to be completely flat, because I think now that we've got the ability to have cliffs and kind of 3-tier towns, that is definitely something I want to take advantage of. So we're going to put this in kind of a cove like that and surround it by some trees. Where are we? We're in the northern part of the island, so let's kind of cover it in some of these trees. These can be a bit more random for the normal trees, I would say. They don't necessarily need to be symmetrical, because they can be quite messy and still look a bit like a bit of a forest. Yeah, that will do, something like that. So these are the villager tents. So I'm going to place some villagers around. When I had New Leaf, I always kind of wanted my villagers in almost a square pattern or a street where they all linked together with a path. But now we kind of have the ability to do that and decide where our villagers go. I kind of don't want to do that anymore. So I think I'm going to have like a main area where I'm going to hopefully try and get maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of the villages together, but then I want some others dotted around, so you don't want to see all the same villages all the time, because I remember in my GameCube game I had Nate, I think it was, he lived right on the beach and I never saw him, so when I did see him it was quite nice, because it wasn't someone or a character you always ran into. So I think I'm going to use this area for maybe, let's just put 3 kind of villages down here towards the beach somewhere. But then I don't want all of them around there, so I want some of these guys to be like high up in the kind of the cliffs. So we're going to put one there. I don't know if is it maybe a bit too unfair to put someone right on the top cliffs maybe. So we can have someone who lives in the forest. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want someone to live near us who we see quite regularly. Let's put him here. I think it's nice to actually have a couple of people near you, so I'll put another guy down here in line with these ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're guessing about 10. So man, this is hard. Let's have a couple of people in the forest on the cliff's edge here. So 1, 2, 3. And then I guess we can just have a couple more here. We don't actually know how many villagers we're going to get, and they may even upgrade this in time. So for now we'll just stick with this many. And then I'm going to have some other players in my town. So we'll put these guys on as well. I think it'll be really cool to have a beach tent as well. So I think this is a really nice spot actually. Oh, maybe I think it down on the bottom beach here. I was going to put him here or here, but maybe that's too close to the lighthouse. So we'll put one guy here, and then maybe another beach guy who can have quite a big part of the beach there. And then I think we need someone right up here, right out of the way of everyone. So we'll put that right on the top cliffs. So what have we got? We've got our maze, which still... my visions of my maze looked really cool. That maze sucks. Let's just put a few more kind of dead ends in here, just to make it look a little bit more like a maze. Making mazes is way harder than I thought it would be. There we go, that's not too bad actually. So in amongst these we could have some trees on top of the cliffs hopefully. Trees. There'll probably be these cedar trees, won't they, being in the north of the island. So I think that's really cool. I'm actually looking forward to kind of trying to design a little maze on my island. It's something I always kind of wanted to do since knowing we can do the landscaping. It adds a bit of character to the island. It also helps keep the secret beach or the private beach private, because any visitors, they may not be able to get there, or they might give up trying to find it. So that's looking pretty cool already. What would be cool actually, I've just thought, is if we make one of the dead ends go to kind of a little sort of watery area, but around that we can have some raised cliffs. So again, maybe it's a private fishing spot, so you can only get there if you go into a dead end of the maze. Something like that. Just neaten that up a bit. Oops. Yeah, that's really cool. I could neaten the cliffs up, but it gives you an idea. So not only have we got a private beach on our map, we've got a private pond as well. So you could do a bit of fishing, get away from everyday island life. That's really cool. I mean, you could be able to look down on it, but that would be not on the top cliff. The pond would be on the next cliff down, or even on the floor on this kind of ground layer, but in amongst the cliffs, if that makes sense. So that's really cool. I think to make it a bit more secretive, we should probably plant some trees around it as well. Yeah, that's really cool. That's so cool. It's like a little pond where even if you somehow got up to the cliff, you wouldn't be able to go to the pond because it would be on the bottom tier, so you'd have to go all the way down and then all the way around the maze to get to the private pond. That's really cool. I'm definitely doing that on my island. So we probably should put some other buildings in. So we've got the museum up here. We've got Nook's Cranny and Able Sisters. Where would the town hall be? I think the town hall is always going to be relatively low on the map when we start out. So I'm going to just put it somewhere here because I think probably that's where it's likely to be. And I think... let's just put some paths around it, so because it's got a big space around the town hall or the resident service centre anyway. Oops. Yeah, so that kind of, we know this area is kind of off limits for building anything because that is where the town hall will be pretty much from the beginning. I know we can move a lot of things. Oops. Just to rub out the path. And obviously this is a new feature to New Horizons. We can actually, the paths we draw in our island, whoops, are actually on the maps as well. So every path we draw on our island will appear on the maps as well, which is really awesome. There we go. It's a really awesome feature. So every path we draw on our maps, whether it's up to a ramp or up to stairs or on the cliffs, anywhere around, the paths we draw will appear on our map. So that our maps are all, our town or island maps are going to look so intricate, so good. So we know this area is going to be off limits. I do want to kind of segregate that or separate it from other things. So we're going to put some few trees around this. Maybe there'll be some random fruit trees in here. We know bell trees are returning. So I think it'd be cool to kind of surround the town hall with some bell trees as well. So that is really cool. That's where a lot of the main events are going to go. We think KK Slider is going to appear there every Saturday night outside the town hall. So that's kind of a main focus. It's good to have that pretty central to the island. Also near the airport and things like that. So that's kind of cool. I think we should probably... The last building actually we should probably do is our campsite. So this is going to be an important feature as well for getting the villagers we want on our islands, because of course we can scan Amiibo at the campsite, get them to visit, and then from there we can invite them into our islands, I think. So the campsite, I think I'm going to have mine on the cliff somewhere up here, because that's, for me, that's more of a camping area. We're going to have some of the cedar trees around it. You know, it's a bit more of a camping spot. Than it would be if it was just on the beach or something. I mean, you could have the camping site on the beach, but I think when you think of camping, you're more likely to think of kind of a wooded area or somewhere well out of the way. So in the camping spot, we've got a few residents close by, we've got some cliffs, and then we've got the private beach and the private pond, which I'm super proud of. And now we should probably lay down some paths before we think about anything else. I want tons of flowers and trees on my island, but I think it's important to lay down some paths. So I'm not really sure. We've got some like clay paths here, stone paths, I guess. So I think I'm going to go with, I think this one, which is a stone path. So straight from this town hall, we're going to be going across pretty much to some of the residents there. And where am I going to... I'm going to have to put a bridge across here somewhere. I think these are the bridges. So we're going to have a bridge here. So I think somewhere here would be awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then from there we can pretty much join up the paths. Stone paths with the bridge. I mean, if you're using this tool, it probably would be best to kind of get everything down that you wanted, like the paths and the cliffs, and then neaten up everything later. Otherwise, we spend way too long neatening everything up because I'm just not very good at drawing. So I definitely want kind of some of the residents to be able to jump on a path, get the quickest route to the town hall. Maybe we're going to have one from Nook's Cranny. We want another bridge in here somewhere. Maybe I should put one right here so we can make things easily accessible if we want to. So I'm going to put another bridge here actually. So there we go. Got a bit of a fat path. And then we can have kind of a path right up to the Able sisters. So although they're out the way, they're still connected to everything in the village kind of thing. So that's kind of cool. So we've got a path to a few of the residents, straight to the resident services or the town hall. Got Able sisters connected there. I think it'd be awesome now that there seems to be a higher limit on the bridges to kind of have some bridges dotted around everywhere, because why not? We're going to make this a little bit thinner. And then we're just going to connect up the path with nooks as well. So we could probably shortcut through here if we ever wanted to, through some trees. But also, if you wanted to follow the paths, you could head around that way. There we go. So we've got some busy paths going on, some cliffs. I think we need to decorate around the museum quickly. So these are definitely going to have some trees. I want an area for the fossils, so because you can display fossils outside of the museum now in kind of their full structures. So just like we saw in one of the videos, I want a massive area where just the fossils are out on display. So I think just a couple of trees, nothing too much here, because I want fossils kind of all around. So it's kind of an outside exhibit as well as an indoor one. So that whole cliff area there is going to be the museum area. Obviously we want some palm trees. Again, I'm going to have a bit of a area just dedicated to farming things like bananas if they're in the game, and coconuts. And we can definitely keep one of the beaches pretty much just for the trees and the palm trees and things like that. I know it seems a bit strange, but it'll be good for farming, crafting materials and fruit and things like that. So kind of my island's looking alright actually. It's looking better than I thought, but at the same time I'm rubbish at drawing, so I'm kind of proud of this part here. But this just goes to show how massive the island is really. What other things have we got here? So we've done the lighthouse. So we've got all the residents there, assuming we can only have 10. We've got the 4 players. It will just be a case of doing some more pathways, I guess. Maybe we should... Is there a ramp? Yeah, there's a ramp here. So I think it would be cool to kind of have a ramp up to... Let's just do it there. So you've got a ramp up to the edge of the cliffs there. And that will let us get up to that cliff without the tools, so we can just kind of run around. And then we probably should have another one that would lead up to... Another one to lead up to the museum. And then I'm just going to draw a little path from these guys to there. Just a tiny little path, just so we can connect that. Maybe, should we bring that in there? Now, I kind of want lots of open space, because I think there's going to be large things like, you know, lighthouses, and we saw the Statue of Liberty and things like that. It's kind of like public work projects. So we're going to have lots of those dotted around. So let's just say this is a public works project, because we're going to have things like that, which could potentially, where are we? Have some water around it, which is really cool, because it could be on like, where are we? There we go. So another cool thing to do would be to give our houses like a moat or something like that. So we could basically just kind of give these public work projects, like if you imagine that was the Statue of Liberty, we could literally create a little island around the public work project and just things like that. So that's really unique, because something we couldn't do before. So I think there's a lot of people going to have fun with something like this. I think I want more waterfalls in the game. So here we've only really got 1 and 2 waterfalls. So what we're going to do is kind of maybe extend this pond so we get a bit of a waterfall. We'll extend these cliffs down here somewhere like that, and maybe get another sideways waterfall. So this would give us 1 waterfall down from the top cliff, and then from here we could have kind of another one that goes down, and maybe they could just join up here or something, because there's no restriction on once we get the tools to only make kind of the standard size rivers. We could have tiny 1 square rivers, or we could have massive like 5 square rivers. So That seems quite fun. So this would just give us 1, 2 more waterfalls, something like that. This isn't as symmetrical as I would have liked. I think when it comes to it, I'll probably try and be a bit more symmetrical. But at the same time, I'm really loving having separate areas for different things. So I definitely want my museum well out of the way. I want a secret beach and a secret pond somewhere. I want lots of waterfalls, which will be awesome for, you know, the fishing tourneys and things like that. So yeah, we'll just make that look a bit cooler. Maybe extend it there. Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. And then in here is kind of, other than where we're going to spend a lot of time with some of the residents and villagers, this is kind of the only space we haven't got anything. So maybe we'll just have some more public work projects in here or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, so we'll just put another one here. I know these are building icons, but we can just say they represent some sort of large structure or public works project. And I think we're going to have some paths just leading up to these guys. Maybe one will be the police station or the post office, which I know we've got postcards in the game as opposed to letters, but I'm really hoping the post office returns at some point. And then maybe this could be kind of a town square that we build with just the path. That's kind of cool. Because it could be a dedicated area for picnics or, you know, anything kind of like that. So yeah, so we've got kind of a main town square. We've got the cliffs and the maze area I wanted, some of the main buildings, and that's pretty much it. I think we should probably, just for the sake of completeness, put a few other trees around on the beach. There's just going to have a few trees. Definitely cover some trees on pretty much every area of the beach. Maybe not as compact as up here where I'd be doing a lot of farming. Thinking about it, that's probably the wrong area to have it because I'd have a long way to the shop to go. So maybe in hindsight we should have done it differently. And I think also the private beach wouldn't be much of a private beach without a palm tree or two on it. So we'll put those there. That's really awesome. And then we'll just maybe dot a few more trees around just to kind of fill in some of the gaps. But I think when it comes to playing the game, there'll be a lot of outside furniture and public work projects or, you know, large structures and buildings that are going to be covering these areas. And I know we can get some of the trees probably on the edges of the cliff as long as we don't go too north. And then again, just some more of these cedar trees. And to be honest, I think we're nearly there. This looks a bit better than I thought. But I'm sure you guys can do an absolutely amazing job compared to me, because clearly I have no creativeness at all. There we go. So we've got quite a lot of trees going on here. The odd cedar tree down. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. So there we have it. That's kind of what I can come up with after a few minutes of playing around. I'm sure you guys are going to do a much better job than me. So definitely check out the tool. Tweet me some of the maps that you guys draw. I'd love to see how much better they are than mine. Anyway, so I won't bore you guys too much with any more of my bad design skills, but it's pretty fun, I have to say. So check out the Reddit post and check out the web app and let the developer know your thoughts. Anyway, for now, that pretty much wraps up this video. If you're an Animal Crossing fan, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any New Horizons news. Until then, I'd like to give a special thank you to this channel's Patreon supporters. You guys rock. Don't forget to head over to our Discord server too, and of course, if you got this far in the video, please comment designer just to let me know you did. That would be super awesome. And please be sure to include whether or not you like the idea of this island designer tool. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it entertaining. Please be sure to leave a like if you did. Thanks for watching, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.